Recently I got hit hard by one of the most brutal challenges a modern gamer can face. Gaming burnout. Day after day I stare at my painfully familiar game library with glazed-over eyes, realizing that those titles I used to sink hundreds of hours into no longer spark the old fire. But fortunately I've beaten this beast before, and maybe this trick will work again. I'll stack up on a ton of Steam K-Packs, but this time I am doubling the dose. So I started placing orders across every marketplace, bloating my library with ever more digital masterpieces. By the end I had about 100 activated keys, 3 of which turned out to be Wordle. Yeah. From this glorious chaos I curated a list of 11 games closest to my heart. 4 sandboxes, 2 puzzles, 3 action fests, and the last 2 AI horrors. And the first game on the chopping block today is Tavern cards. I didn't pick this at random, I've got a bit of a history with card games. Back in the day I spent 2 years gathering dust in Hearthstone just to craft a basic druid deck, and I've even hustled local drunks for Gwent as Geralt, so wiping the floor with this imp should be a breeze. Damn, I'm good. As you can see, the combat system here is painfully primitive. You and the enemy each have 3 cards on the table. They are totally RNG, completely random, no deck building involved. All you have to do is click them in the right order. And this goes on until you run out of opponents or your health dries up. Luckily every level has an emergency supply of tasty soup just in case. And I haven't even mentioned the item shop, where we can go after every round to spend the pennies honestly earned from killing little devils on buff items. And get this, these items actually appear visually right there on your table. Absolutely card game approval. But naturally it wasn't without problems. A dead freeze on a grey screen visits the game roughly every 5 minutes, and sometimes the cards just drove somewhere far to the left, which meant the devil and I couldn't finish the round, leaving me and the devil just sitting there staring awkwardly at each other with absolutely no clue what to do next. Card game with demons. Constant crashes. Interactive dice with a nice candle. 5 out of 10. And before we jump into the next game, I want you to take a look at this image. Meet the eukaryote, or in other words, a fully functional living cell with a nucleus. It's got part for filtration, protein manufacturing and power generation. These seemingly simple units are the building blocks of us and everything else that's alive on Earth. I am telling you this because right now I'm about to engineer one of these from zero in Raft. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yes, Factorio players, welcome home. So we start with an empty membrane surrounded by multicolored amino acids and some other weird little floating things. You can grab all resources manually and drag them inside the cell. This lets you craft a workbench out of 4 red amino acids, which unlocks the first primitive structures, specifically cytostomes and ribosomes. The former vacuum up resources from the bubbles, and the latter process them into complex subunits. And voila, we just created a translation mechanism. I repeat this exact same scheme for the yellow amino acids, but for further progress I need a research station to unlock the more complex stack trees, of which, by the way, there are plenty. And then suddenly, a bacterium attacked my cell, and this son of a biology infected the membrane.
No, you're a bitch! Fuck you!
And then it happened again and again. For the next 2 hours, I knew exactly what my main goal was: constructing the ultimate aggressive immune defense. To pull this off, I set up a supply chain for plasmids. This slices them into a separate exotic bases, which I then pair up using a catalyst. And it's all for unlocking the turret system and the ammo production line to feed them.
I'm hungry.
Imagine my face when I realized that I could have been destroying bacteria this entire time by simply right-clicking on them. This sucks, guys, really sucks. But a new problem appeared almost immediately: oxidation. Basically my primitive buildings rot, meaning they need constant replacement. I had to nuke my ammo production down to 0 and set up a brand new chain for manufacturing these perishable parts. Then I routed everything to special diffusers, which automatically detect and replace broken structures within their range. As a bonus, I built a garbage disposal system. It sucks up floating debris and eats it right out of the membrane. And of course, the factory must grow. So after ramping up the mining of blue and yellow amino acids, I converted them into a special protein, which lets us outline the shape of our future expansion. To finish the job, I mass-produced G-actin, turning it into F-actin, and finally grew a new membrane to wrap around the skeleton, fully expanding the cell. My man. Sleek interface. A massive amount of content. The factory must grow. 10 out of 10. The next game is completely useless for fun. It is 100% dead. However, this is exactly where I hit a specific kind of zen that I really want to share with you. It's a social sandbox designed for chatting and messing around with interactive objects. Just so I wouldn't leave empty-handed, I decided to host my own server for a few minutes. I downloaded one custom map out of the grand total of 22 that exists in the entire world, and quickly ran through the features. We have access to a lamp with adjustable brightness, a box, a nightstand, and a can of red paint. You can physically interact with all this junk, stash it in your inventory, and repaint your character to add a little personality to what is basically a truncated texture block. Technically, I could have stopped there, tossing this game into the folder of projects that never made it to your screens. But before quitting, I decided to just walk around. It's 10 PM, my room is silent, the lights are dimmed, and I gradually begin to slip into a zen state, fading away into this liminal, empty space. My eyes caught the jagged peaks, and naturally I decided to climb them, especially since the physics here are so simplified that you can scale a 90-degree wall like it's nothing. From one of the summits, I spotted a strange clearing in the forest, which turned out to be a social hub, decorated with mesmerizing crystals. I walked along the shore past a lighthouse, found another meeting spot, climbed another peak, and then promptly fell out of the map. And so I visited every single one of the 22 published maps, and with every new location the feelings grew stronger, a sense of deep intimacy. Because right now I am walking through the walks of people I never knew and never will know. They raised the terrain, planted trees, placed structures, so that years later I would be the only one to see it, the only human being in the entire world walking here, like cave paintings left by our ancestors, with no hope that anyone but them would ever see them. And yet, here I am. I've been staring at a cube half submerged in water for 10 minutes now, and my soul feels calm. But let's be real, it's an empty liminal space, 0 players, and catching a sudden wipe doesn't change the facts. 4 out of 10. Alright, enough philosophy, because right now we have a Cockroach Simulator! A game about the hard life in the kitchen. In this unusual place, many interests intertwine, but the only war between humans and cockroaches is truly epic and destructive. Yeah, that's exactly how I describe my life in a university dorm. After spending almost half an hour looking for at least one person to play with, I realized I needed backup. So I summoned my 2 best friends. To keep things simple, let's call them Jesse and Walter. Here is the gist. The roaches scurry around the kitchen looking for food and lay as many eggs as possible. The Hemo's job is exterminate them all. And now you're about to witness our match with my live commentary as if you've tuned into a professional sports broadcast. And here we go, just 3, 2, 1, the game is on. 2 roaches are on the loose and ready to cause some kitchen chaos. Meanwhile, Walter is fully armed and moving into a defensive position. Oh my god, did you see that? They're dead! God lord, Walter just wiped them out in one hit, but these bugs still have 8 lives left. Jesse, with a terrible bitrate on his video, decided to climb straight onto the range hood, a very big brain move. Meanwhile, Ryptail is staring Walter down, promising him a world of pain. Walter of course does not let that slide. Now the roaches meet on the top shelf to brainstorm a plan, but Walter is ruthless, lobbing mugs and whatever else he can grab at them. Ryptail starts boldly snacking on a breadcrumb under a heavy human assault. The heat is on. At the same time, Jesse still can't figure out where the hell he is. Looks like he woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Ryptail sees an opening to grab another crumb. Oh no, what a disaster, and what a stunning play from evil humanoid. Looks like a serious brawl is breaking out between Walden and Ryptail, and the Roach is clearly losing. Can't say the same for Jesse though, just look at him stuffing his belly, the little rascal. Ryptail wants a bite too, but Walden, anticipating the move, traps the Roach in the bread box. You dirty nasty Walden, you build a gas chamber for a helpless bug. Jesse, help him out. Come on, keep Walden dizzy, keep his head spinning. Walden finally shows some mercy and lets Ryptail out for his final lives, but is it really mercy, because he is destroying them, annihilating!
Damn. Goddamn right.
Cockroaches. Non-stop violence. 8 out of 10. It's puzzle time. First up is Sinister City, a hidden object puzzle game. I choose this because for some mysterious reason this is the go-to genre for everyone I know over 55. The undisputed runner-up to the match 3 throne. A mysterious man just spawned in to tell us the story of John and Nina, a couple who had it all. They took moonlit walks and did a lot of kissing, until one day Nina vanished, and John began his quest to find his beloved. So here I am, playing as John, arriving at some hotel with nothing but a photo of the girl. Inside, the hotel owner immediately tells me to beat it, because just around the corner lies Sinister City, the source of infinite evil and terrifying creatures. But that's not enough to make me abandon the search for my future wife, so the owner makes me a deal. If I find all the hotel receipts scattered across the lobby, he will give me a room. And that's where the gameplay kicks in. It's exactly what you'd expect, clicking around looking for items until you find the right ones. To be honest, there were moments where I felt like my perception stat was at flat 0, and I ended up just spam clicking everything on the screen, praying I'd accidentally hit the right pixel. Thankfully, the nice art style and fluid animations kept me from losing my mind. After scrounging for receipts, my reward is a quest for room keys. The hotel owner is a total moron who can't keep his life organized. With that done, he takes me to use an astral device to locate Nina. The components for it, as you've probably guessed, are missing. I enter the astral plane only to discover that Nina is being held by a vampire who refuses to let her go. Even worse, Nina begs me to forget about her and move on, claiming her rescue is hopeless. And just to drive the point home, a monster locks the exit from the astral dimension behind me. A normal man might take this as a sign to start dating someone less high maintenance. But John is built different. He returns to the living world and starts prepping for a monster hunt. Suddenly, the narrator appears and reveals that he is also a film director in this world. After another round of John hunting to unlock the next line of dialogue, he tells me that the great evil is actually pretty chill now. And also my vampire killing steak is a counterfeit from China. He advises me to just have a heart-to-heart with a vampire. I piece together a map, head to the castle, and collect gears to lower the drawbridge. That's when the big twist hits. Nina is actually the daughter of a vampire named Orlok. He kidnapped her because he wants her to marry a more promising vampire. So this is no longer a gothic horror game, it's a sitcom about monster emotions. So looking for leverage against Orlok, John pays a visit to the vampire's psychologist. Naturally, she refuses to talk to us until we find all her tea bags, activate every gravitational bed energy repeller, bring her headache pills, and pass her personality test. And it's right here that I started to notice just how lazy and clunky the gameplay loop really is. Every single location must have between 2 and 4 acts of scavenging or item hunting. These items are usually tucked away in 3 spots. 2 are just quick pickups, but the third one forces you to find some completely random junk first. Only after that do you get access to the actual quest item, which is usually the last one on the list. And it's like this every single time. Quirky story, repetitive as hell gameplay, animated cutscenes, 6 out of 10. After a game like that, you probably want something unusual, right? That's why I'm showing you my second and final puzzle. Though calling it a puzzle might be a stretch. It's more like a philosophical dialogue, masquerading as a game. The story of Press Any Button kicks off by thanking us for participating in an experiment on how video games affect concentration. After signing away my soul in the licensing agreement, the gameplay starts. It's basic. Click the cubes in the green zone, and then someone from behind the screen says that they hope we're having fun. The mysterious narrator agrees that if this were actually a good game, it wouldn't be this boring. Finally, the stranger shows his face. Meet AI. AI wants to create a new game, something better than the last one, and he needs my help. We will come up with a new communication system that lets me answer yes or no.
Now we are all set and ready.
And then we move on to creating music, because every great game needs a soundtrack. The first few iterations are a mess, but with every new note we add, we build a soundtrack until a classical melody fills the air. It's actually getting good. Around this time, AI begins to share his thoughts on the world. He shows me surveillance footage from the lab that he's able to control. He actually has access to every camera, but for some reason these are the ones that matter most to him. And he adds a rain effect to the game. It was a weirdly perfect moment because it was pouring outside my real window right then. The music turns anxious. The AI begins reading the diary of his creator, Professor Ansova, where he had troubled thoughts that clearly point to depression. AI admits that he believes she suffered from it too. And sadly she hasn't shown up to work in a very long time, which likely means she has left this world. AI muses on friendship, love and flowers. He says he hopes that we've become friends, or at least that we can pretend we are, since we spent so little time together. As we reach the end, AI gives me infinite lives so I can finish the finale without any stress. He reminds me how important it is to say kind things to people and remind them how wonderful they are, so that those flowers never wither and stay with us as long as possible. Finally, AI decides to delete our entire dialogue from the system and delete himself along with it. He wants to go to his creator, to be friends with her in another world. For me it was beautiful, with somewhat heavy experience. 10 out of 10. And now, it's time for some action. Taking the lead on our list is Ape Wars, an online meat grinder set in a Planet of the Apes style world. Just look at these movements. The raw power. Now make it slow, yeah. The second I reach the name entry screen, the game for some reason joyfully grants me every single achievement in the book. Apparently, I get a platinum trophy just for knowing the alphabet. There are several classic modes, like in any online shooter, but the modest player base is concentrated in either team deathmatch or a simple free-for-all. In search of real humans, I check the server browser, and bingo! Find exactly what I need. My first opponent is a player named Bazur Ismailov. We go head-to-head on a map with a lighthouse, where we master the full arsenal: a cannon-style grenade launcher, a pistol, and a good old-fashioned knife. Our battle could have been legendary, but the match ends way too quickly. And that's when things get interesting. Me versus a player named Labubo. I joined a new server on a map called Forest. It's huge, green, and full of empty space. And as it turns out, there is a reason for that. I grab a nearby UAZ, hoping to ram his tank. Failure. I start circling him, trying not to die. Also a failure. So I decided to pull a stealth mission, sneaking past Labubu right into his base, where I find another parked tank. From that moment on, it was all downhill for Labubu. You might think that was the end of it, but we are just getting started. I tracked the poor guy down to a new server and unleashed pure hell on him. But even that was just the prelude, because everything was leading to one moment. The moment this was always meant to come to. The moment we draw our code still. Good game, Labubo. I spent the next 15 minutes ruthlessly no-scoping to kiss in another lobby, but let's keep that our little secret. Intense gameplay, a lot of bananas, 8 out of 10. Now I want you to close your eyes and imagine a tree. A big tree in the middle of a forest, in 2D. This tree is alive. It loves taking walks and gathering resources. A village of these trees was attacked by evil fluffy purple blobs, and now the entire species must find a new home. But this one tree has the will and the power to change everything. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the adventures of Tree, Skyrim but with tricks. After creating your character, the game drops you into your room, where a pleasant male voice explains the basics of controls, health and inventory. From the very start, the game feels like you just launched a classic Newgrounds Flash game in 2010, while holding a massive bottle of Mountain Dew. Stepping outside, I grab an axe and head for the neighboring settlement. On the way, I take out a couple of bees and level up, which lets me upgrade a skill. It's an RPG, baby! Like any self-respecting RPG, you can take a quest from almost every NPC and enter any house. Inside, you will likely find either terrifying spiders or a stove where you can grill fresh meat from an innocent passing boar. At a farm near the city, I was jumped by an extremely aggressive crow, defending its stylish head. Luckily, it eventually agreed to hand it over. The head, by the way, gives you plus 0.5 health regen.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.
By the end of day 1, I finished a few quests and tucked myself into my warm little bed. The next day, I raided the house to the left of mine. Among a pile of crates, I found a torch, perfect for exploring the dark cave near town. There I found a settlement and little brown jellies hopping around me, some blue crystals and a massive blue duck that ruthlessly ate me alive. After the defeat, I headed back out to sell my loot. I had to travel to the fishing town in the west, through the dark forests and past waterfalls. Along the way, I found a killer sword that boosted my damage by 20 and regen by another 2.5. Once I reached the city market, I sold everything and finally bought a map and some decent gear. With my new kit, I managed to slay the blue cave duck and a massive bee boss who was tired of me stealing their honey. Since then, my little pine tree has visited snowy mountains, deep jungles with the civilization of apes who absolutely hate me, and even a village of giant rocks where wealth is the ultimate measure of strength. The climax of my journey was finding a ruined location, a village long ago conquered by those purple creatures, the ones I told you about. And I, as the chosen tree, went in to start slicing. After getting the key to the city hall, I reached the big man himself, the general. We engaged in a fierce battle. The odds were against me, but I held my ground, even throwing sticks of dynamite into the mix. But the truth is, I haven't won yet, and the trees are still waiting for their hero. But I will get it done tomorrow. An RPG about a tree, funny graphics. Desire to play this game again. 10 out of 10. So for the next game, we are heading to a distant Eastern European country called Moldova. A beautiful place. They've got a woman president, delicious grapes and top-tier folk dancing. And right here, as if forged in an angelic smithy, we find the game we're about to discuss. Oh boy. It seems this game is reserved for a very exclusive circle of players. Just successfully launching the app is considered a rare achievement. We take on the role of the director for Project Machine 001, a long-awaited leap in time travel technology. Our primary objective is simple: locate the device and fuel it with the mercury. The scientific reason remains a mystery, but the mission moves forward regardless. As we navigate the environment, we are forced to confront the developer's specific architectural choices. The soundscape is particularly striking for its emptiness, aside from a distant ambient hum. And visually the game mimics the Lahaina noon effect seen in Hawaii. With the sun positioned directly overhead, shadows vanish entirely, leaving the structures looking surreal. Anyway, pushing forward, I found the barracks and tried to interact with the soldiers who were hanging out there, but they remained unresponsive. Eventually I arrived to the time machine's core to administer the mercury, but something goes wrong. Congratulations! Now we are playing as a knight who accidentally deleted humanity because the mercury was over 100 degrees. The mission is to find a laboratory to restore the world, a lab that could be located in any country or perhaps on a different planet entirely. The game promises a bizarre bestiary of gorillas, dinosaurs and extraterrestrial technology, but the most striking detail is the primary antagonists, the rocket skeletons. The developer really cooked here. There is really nothing more to say about this level, you just wander around, dodge skeletons, and admire a masterpiece built from a million free assets found on the internet. After crossing a bridge and pushing a rock down, which apparently counts as a teleport in these parts, we end up straight at an Oktoberfest with the zombies. As it turns out, that random awkward groaning sound is all that's supposed to represent zombies. This level is also notable because the skeletons have somehow learned to move at the speed of Formula 1 car, and the streets are randomly decorated with brooms and grave crosses. Then we see this incredibly glossy environment. There is something visceral about it. It feels as though I can sense exactly how that surface feels, and even how it smells. Don't ask me why. After entering a cave, I toss a random barrel into a campfire, which opens another portal. This time we are going to Russia with aliens. The developer mentions that Russia is the largest country in the world. And do you know how he decided to represent that? He just made the walking path 5 times longer. I literally had to walk for 30 minutes in real time, encountering crappy tripos of various sizes, glitched out robots, massive FPS drops, and this one happy skeleton chilling by a fire. The portal as usual turned out to be just another object you have to shove off a ledge. This time we arrive in Egypt. This is the level where the dev gave up so hard that the enemies don't even move anymore. They just stand there with a 1,000-yard stare, probably just blinded by the lighting, which reflects off every single surface and blasts a stream of pure photons directly into your brain. As I surveyed the sphinxes and the surrounding architecture, I reached a paved highway and spotted aircraft in the distance. Perhaps the mummies have taken to the skies. Whatever, we shove an orange off a cliff and enjoy an incredible cutscene of our journey from Egypt to the USA. Once in the US, the gameplay transforms into a driving simulator. There isn't much to say here, just drive forward and try not to get stuck in the textures so you don't have to restart the game 10 times. Finally, I ram into a rocket, end up on board and admire the planets on the way to Mars, while wondering where the hell I missed the gorillas and dinosaurs. To conclude, I spent 5 minutes navigating an alien facility and deposit the Mercury into the time machine. At the end, the author shares his name and his studio website, and of course I checked it out. They have a consistent output and an active community, even attending industry conferences. Well done, Christy Manolachi. 1 out of 10. Moving on to the horror segment, ladies and gentlemen. Our first subject is a title called Last Floor. I wake up in a typical Soviet-style apartment already late for work. My laptop is dead, and outside the window there is thick fog and flashing lightning, basically a classic Tuesday in the post-Soviet suburbs. Before heading out, I need some tea, and that's when it becomes clear. The culprit behind today's bad weather is actually a UFO. Judging by my character's total lack of reaction, this isn't even news. So I calmly put the kettle in the sink, fill it up and get ready to put it on the stove. The kettle has revolted! This aggressive piece of hardware clearly hates my morning face and is trying to break my nose. Having no better plan, I lure this angry iron beast onto the balcony, trap it there and head out into the hallway to see what's up with the neighbors. My neighbor Mikhailych is doing great. He is just sitting in the kitchen calmly drinking vodka. The only rational reaction for any man in this situation. It's hard to hear him over the in-game music, which is cranked to 11, but the subtitles say he is offering me a drink. Unfortunately, I'm still late for work, so I grab the hallway keys from him and head down to the sound of a perfect looped soundtrack. But suddenly, the path is blocked by some strange tripwire. Coming up to this floor, I hear a girl screaming. Approaching the door, it actually gets pretty creepy, but as soon as I open it, I hear the sound of someone eating potato chips. It's a hairdryer literally devouring the lady of the house. I have to grab a mop and beat this piece of tech senseless until it lets out its final beep. But anyway, through the poor girl's balcony I climb down another floor and enter the apartment of an incredibly filthy human being. And this kitchen is giving me a minor PTSD. In this apartment I encounter a rabbit lamp and a mysterious technological orb that refuses to interact with me. Using the classic Skyrim method, I put a cooking pot over the lamp's head and step into the hallway, only to find a tiny humanoid creature staring at me. A flat with ominous red lighting gives me access to another balcony, allowing me to skip down one more floor, where things get weird. The tension escalates as the enemy presence grows. Our neighbor has finally lost his mind staring at a TV, and the aliens start setting traps and sending out their generals, spiked vacuum cleaners. The regular ones are still lurking too. Later, it turns out all of this is happening because aliens are laying their eggs inside the walls and sustaining them using the city's power grid. To end the infestation, I reach the main breaker on the first floor and cut the power, effectively freeing the house. But as I try to leave, they grab me anyway and carry me off into the unknown. Evil Cattle, original plot, still late for work, 5 out of 10. The last game on our list was apparently a massive hit with YouTubers about 12 years ago. It popped up in Let's Play by PewDiePie, MarketPie and plenty of others. The story is about a peaceful, lovely village where people just mind their own business and grow their crops. Then there is us, a hunter named Walden. He lives as a hermit because a long time ago he had to take out 3 guys who tried to kill him. Since then he's barely left his cabin. Until one day he decides to step out just to enjoy the view. And as it usually goes, everything suddenly goes pitch black. I can smell the quality writing already. Judging by the physics and the way you hold this lamp, it's clear the game drew a lot of inspiration from Amnesia. I find this nostalgic as Amnesia was my own gateway into horror. However, as we descend into the basement, we acquire the one tool that differentiates this from its inspiration.
Gun! Okay, where did those come from?
The moment I go upstairs to grab some ammo, a massive explosion rocks the village in the mountains nearby. I arrive to find nothing but smoldering ruins and an oppressive silence, save for the moaning wind. There are no traces of the inhabitants. I head toward the church, assuming it served as a final refuge. It's the only building that seems intact. Oh look, found the villagers! They're all right here under this burning cross. Damn. I grab the keys to the stables where the livestock has been slaughtered, and that's when the paranormal crap really starts hitting the fan.
I absolve you of your sins. You have been forgiven.
If I had epilepsy, I'd probably be halfway to the grave by now. To unlock the main gate and move forward, I had to dive into the water and enter some nearby burning shacks to find the keys. Once that's done, I find one last hut where a mysterious entity has left a note addressed specifically to me. It outlines a series of trials designed to reveal the truth behind the village's demise. And so, the journey begins. First up, 7 Moon Forest. I need to build a fire using nearby logs, which in turn attracts something very, very angry. And by something I mean a giant snake, a terrifying nasty serpent that for some reason drops some serious low-frequency beats.
Spawn of Satan! What the fuck is that? What is that? It sounds like a dick. It sounds like a dick is chasing me.
Did I get ya? I got ya! Yeah, buddy!
The path eventually leads me to a local ranger station, or what's left of it, which isn't much. On the way down, yep, you guessed it, another jump scare. And then I reach a clearing where we face our true nemesis, a massive werewolf. You can kill it, but shots definitely slow it down. Looking for a way out, I dive into the river. This leads me to a ship that ran aground ages ago. On board, I scavenge some gunpowder and a cannonball. For God's sake! Using the powder, we blast through a wooden wall in the cave, only for Walden to hear a girl's blood-curdling scream. Maybe she is just not a fan of cannon fire, who knows. The path leads to some ancient ruins, where, strangely enough, we find a brand new rifle. And new enemies too, giant spiders. I was dying to these things constantly, until I realized you can just walk around them. Meanwhile, Walden's revenge quest is slowly turning into a Save the Screaming Lady mission, because if he doesn't, he'll regret it for the rest of his days. Gotta love this top-tier riding. We kill the spider mom and dad using the same tactics we used on their kiss, and finally crawl out of that dungeon of pain. Now the hunter heads for the catacombs, mostly because a blood message on the wall told him to. After spending some quality time in the graveyard hunting for gate keys, Walden finally reaches the source of all his trouble. Zephyroth, the Eater of Souls. According to him, everything that happened is our ancestors' fault, and that's pretty much all the lore we get. He gives us a choice, live or stay. If we walk away, he spares us. But Walden isn't the coward Zephyr thinks he is. Walden chooses to stand his ground. The battle escalates from physical lunges to wave of summoned minions, culminating in a final phase where Zephyr unleashes a barrage of magical projectiles. Once we take him down, Zephyr launches 6 orbs at once, which finally kills our hunter. But the creature doesn't get to celebrate, it's immediately taken out by an even more powerful entity. This new guy came to the catacombs for a mysterious scroll that grants power over all evil beings. Some future hero will have to find the scroll and destroy it. We still have no idea what happened to the lady, by the way. Amnesia vibes. Walden is a legend. Doggy is dead. 6 out of 10. Well, that was actually quite a trip. I think my game in Burnout is finally starting to fade. But now I think it's time to do what I should have done at the start. I'm going to step outside for some fresh air.